We are beginning with some breaking news, unprecedented. We have just learned that President Trump and the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, have tested positive for COVID-19. Our Phil Blauer is standing by from the news feed with what the details that are just coming into the newsroom and from the president himself.
That's right, Kathleen. Let's go right to it. This was his tweet just 6 minutes ago. And tonight, the First Lady of the U.S. and I tested positive for COVID-19. We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together. And of course, he had been accompanied by Hope Hicks, who was his aide. Turned out earlier today that she tested positive for it. And of course, Hope Hicks was with him on Air Force One, also on Marine One during stops in Cleveland, Minnesota this week, Kathleen. I can also tell you that the president had events scheduled tomorrow in Florida where he was supposed to speak there. That was still on his public schedule. I just checked it as a couple of minutes ago. So obviously all of that's going to change going forward. But what a revelation tonight. Kathleen?
Yeah, certainly. And this is unprecedented territory, how this will work with a president in quarantine. He was also supposed to go to rallies in Wisconsin, which is now one of the hot spots in the nation for rising coronavirus cases. Again, if you're just joining us, the president and the first lady have both tested positive for coronavirus after close aide Hope Hicks was diagnosed earlier today. Now, the president is 74 years old, and we do know that people over the age of 65 are more at risk to coronavirus. And it was just a few weeks ago that the president was proclaiming that we have rounded the corner when it comes to coronavirus. We also know, just by looking at the rallies and White House events, that the president and his close core of people in the West Wing generally do not wear masks or follow the safety protocols issued by its own CDC. And Phil, I'm curious if you're seeing any more reaction coming in on Twitter other than the breaking news that both the president and the first lady have been diagnosed with COVID-19.
Not yet, Kathleen, but I've had several political people that I've been watching sort of their commentary, and they said that Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, who technically is third in line here behind Vice President Mike Pence and the president, perhaps should go into isolation because we don't know if Vice President Mike Pence himself has been in close contact with Hope Hicks. I know we have some video of Hope Hicks walking with, I believe, the president, or getting onto Marine One a day or two ago, and she can clearly see she doesn't have her mask on, and she's in very close contact there with the president. So this is very interesting. He did also have, I believe, a fundraising event here in the Southland in Southern California. I was going to say at Orange County, I believe, at a private fundraiser set for within the next 7 days. I don't think that's going to happen now if he stays true to the quarantine protocol, of course, of 14 days recommended by the CDC. Kathleen?
And what's interesting about that, Phil, too, is because we have had other people in the inner circle be diagnosed with COVID-19, and we have not seen them take these quarantine steps. We had an aide to Vice President Pence, as you had mentioned, who had tested positive, and they did not go into quarantine. So this is uncharted territory in terms of reaction to it. We don't know what this means when the commander-in-chief is limited in this way. Obviously, the White House has everything in a facility needs to run the country, but 7 million Americans, and he is now one of them, as well as the First Lady Melania Trump, who is infected with COVID-19. And 250,000 Americans almost have died from this. So it is a serious issue with the president being diagnosed tonight with COVID-19. And again, he has traveled extensively recently with Hope Hicks, a close aide. She is 31 years old, and we're told that she has symptoms and is not feeling well. And we don't know if the president himself and the first lady at this point feel asymptomatic, because we have not had an official statement from the White House itself. Just tonight, we have heard from the president that he and the First Lady have tested positive for COVID-19. And of course, we'll stay on top of this breaking and huge news story tonight, and we'll have the latest updates for you right on the Fox 5 app. If you want to follow us that way, you can always check in on our website, fox5sandiego.com, and we're on till 11:30 tonight, and we'll continue to bring you updates as they come in.